In the real world, the Spanish Grand Prix will be changing venues, but our drivers will get one last hurrah at this virtual world. It's time to go racing in Barcelona as we get ready to watch round 11 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. You'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hi, I'm Joey Atterbury, and with me in the booth is going to be Joe Peak tonight. Behind the scenes is our director, Christian Deploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Well, why don't we go ahead and take a look at what makes up this beautiful circuit over in Spain.
Welcome to Circuit de Barcelona. The home of the Spanish Grand Prix for nearly 30 years, it's easy to forget that this is a relatively recently built track in Europe. It's known for its long, sweeping corners and hosts the highest level of open wheel and motorcycle racing. Placing an emphasis on a good aerodynamic setup with high downforce cars, it's often overlooked that it offers plenty of overtaking for lower tier racing as well. In fact, most don't take into account that this adaptable track has 5 different layouts to choose from. These range from the nearly 3-mile long Grand Prix version to the minuscule 1-mile club circuit. Because of the pit straight being the longest acceleration zone, Elf is the most likely spot for drivers to get it past them. After that, your next hope might be into La Caixa, which, depending on which layout you use, could be a sharpened set of 2 turns or one long hairpin with an opening radius. In the early 2000s, a chicane was added close to the end of the lap, but the old Europcar corner can still be run. The Spanish fans have some gorgeous views from the many hills dotted along the track. And with the international fame this place has built over time, it's no wonder they're almost always full come race day.
It's a fantastic facility out here, and of course, Formula One was just here this weekend as well. Let's take a look at this track map of what makes up 16 turns here at the Barcelona Grand Prix, Catalunya, whatever you want to call it. First opened in the early 90s, 2.89 miles long, and if you notice, we are doing that Grand Prix layout with the chicane in sector number 3. So turn number 1, probably your best passing opportunity because it does have that very, very long front straightaway, and then it kind of gets into these sweeping corners all the way through the end of sector 1 and into sector 2. Turn number 10 is also a good passing opportunity over there, and you got to be careful about the track limits, especially throughout this entire place over here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the championship points are going to be over here. It looks like we've got our 2 different classes that are going to be represented, and first up is going to be the GTE. BJ Fulton right now is dead tied with Jad Duncan, if that's right. 0 points separating those two, so this might be a incredibly pivotal round for that Drivers' Standings Championship. 13 points is Mark Rondeau. He's back there in 3rd. Dylan Scott in 4th place with only a single point separating him and Andrew Chinichi. Don't count out Dustin Heindel. Also, you see Michael Bolton, Robert Leclerc, Jeff Shulam in 9th, and Michael Johnson was participating in the championship a little bit earlier. But it's not just those GTE cars. I think we got Joe Peak back with us to cover the Cayman Championship. Doesn't look like we've got Joe back quite yet. Looks like John Momeyer is still leading this championship in the Cayman GT4s. 78 points, just a single point above Larry Haas back there in what is 2nd place. Federico Del Toro, he's really been on a charge recently. He's always one of the fastest, so keep an eye out for that gray car with the red highlights. He's always going to be towards the front. And then you see Marciniak, Rob Russell, Adam Abrams, Hollander, Mayorga, Viverco, and Garamani all have taken place in this points championship as kind of get everything wrapped up over here on our side of things. And also want to give a shout out to our sponsors for the event. Of course, with Porsche, there is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. Also, Top Gun MG, helping financial advisors be the best of the best. Contact them today at topgunmg.com. That is topgunmg.com. As we get ready and rolling through our pre-race, let's take a look at exactly what today is going to be round 11 of 13 here in the championship. The drivers are in a qualifying session of 30 minutes long, and the race is going to be 40 minutes. It is that multi-class format, so the Porsche GTEs, the faster of the 2 classes, And then you've got the Porsche Cayman GT4 class out there. Drivers have 2 spare cars available to them, so if they get in any sort of trouble out there, they can go ahead and come down pit lane or hit that reset button. Hopefully get back out there on the playground and enjoy themselves with the rest of the racing out there. Well, looks like qualifying is actually wrapping up just as I speak over here. So we're going to be going through the starting grid momentarily. Now here with the open qualifying session, as long as the drivers have started a lap, they can actually finish the lap. So there's about, call it a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes left on the grid timer itself. I can tell you right now, provisional pole is BJ Fulton with a time of a 1:42.20. And then over in the Cayman GT4 class is Federico Del Toro, the driver I was just talking about going through that points championship. He's got provisional pole at a 1:54.147. Looks like everybody is starting to wind everything down. I'm trying to see if there's anybody that's actually on track right now that might be a threat to actually put down a lap in terms of adjusting that qualifying order. See if any of that will be changed here in this last minute and what is 16 seconds. Watching one of the cars come around, I believe. See if I can find who this is back on the grid. I think this might be Will Castillo here in the number 88 car coming down the front straightaway. Unfortunately, is not going to be able to put in a lap time, so he is going to be starting from the rear of the field. Let's see here if we've got a starting grid here momentarily. I know that I can be able to read it off. I think that all cars are actually done from their qualifying session. Nobody is actually still racing out there, so should have that momentarily here. I know that BJ Fulton in the number 82 car is your pole sitter with a time of a 1:42.200. Thomas Isbell is going to be lining up next to him on row number 1, starting in that second place with a lap time of a 1:42.794. Chad Duncan is going to roll off in the third place position with Michael Bolton in fourth. Dustin Heindel starting fifth with Mark Rondeau in sixth. Jeffrey Shulam in seventh. And Robert Leclerc is going to round out our 8 cars. I'm sorry, Will Castillo back here on row number 5 starting in ninth. He's going to round out our 9 those GTE cars. And then we also have our Cayman GT4 starting grid. Federico Del Toro is your pole sitter. That lap time is a 1:54.147. Christopher Marciniak is going to share row number 1 with them. Adam Abrams going to be starting in third place with John Momeyer in fourth. Larry Haas back here in fifth. And Jim Garamani is going to round out our 6 Cayman GT4 cars here taking place today at Barcelona. Well, I think we're still getting everything sorted out behind the scenes here in terms of Joe Peak getting in the booth here. Make sure that we got everything all hunky-dory before he jumps back in. Just waiting for all of the cars on pre-grid right now to essentially roll off and start our race. I'm checking our weather. It's a beautiful day in virtual Barcelona. 72 degrees ambient air temperature. Track is a little bit warm. 110 degrees on that track surface currently. As you see that orange car of Will Castillo, since he didn't put in a lap time, they gridded him at the back. He simply drove around that Cayman GT4 field to reach the back of that GTE field. I agree with that. You don't want to be starting kind of with the classes already mixed up. So, pace cars on the shortened pace lap. Just have to go through this really technical, tricky sector number 3 with this little rinky-dink chicane here. Remember, this was used for the Grand Prix layout for all those years, and now the pace car will peel off down onto pit road. It's up to the field to kind of get ordered 2 by 2. I notice it's a little bit out of order because our second place car on grid, Thomas Isabel, is not actually there, so that's why you see the vacant spot up front. So It is BJ Fulton holding that pace car speed, and now he stands on the gas. We have a green flag here at Barcelona. We are charging down towards turn number 1. Jad Duncan was in the slipstream, but now lifts off of the gas. It's all BJ Fulton on the inside, but Michael Bolton with a strong move around the outside of turn number 1 is going to put himself side by side with BJ Fulton now, and you see the chrome car's got the inside line. A little bit of a shorter distance around this long sweeping turn number 3. Is able to reclaim the lead after a little bit of a threat on that early start. It looks like back in that Cayman GT4 field, looks like Federico Del Toro was able to hang on to the lead there as well. So both pole sitters right now able to maintain their track position as we rocket off towards what is turn number 7. Michael Bolton all over the back of BJ Fulton up there for the lead. Actually forces BJ a little bit wide on those exit curbs. He's kind of on the back foot here in this chrome and red number 82 as we go through this fast sweeping turn number 9. BJ does a really nice job right there to essentially hit the apex and accelerate away from Michael Bolton, but Michael is right on the bumper there after nailing the brake zone. Almost gives a little bit of a tap to our leader as we check in on what is our Cayman GT4 field. This is a deep braking move here from the 704. I think that was Adam Abrams. Looks like he is going to get that pass done. I think it was Marciniak that just kind of got straddled on that exit curb. Couldn't really put the power down there, and now Larry Haas also making a move on the racetrack, going by John Momeyer, and what is turn number 12 up there, going down into turn 13. Oh no, looks like I think that's Marciniak maybe missing another apex over there. Bounce it up through 14 and 15. Try to get the power down as you lead it out onto this sweeping turn number 16 out onto the front straightaway. Rondeau, nice move down there into turn number 1 on the Cookie Monster machine of Dustin Heindel. So Mark did a nice job to sit in that slipstream, pop out at the right moment, and claim what is 4th place on the racetrack. And this is another move happening down here in turn number 1. It appears that Larry Haas, John Momeyer battle hasn't gone anywhere, and now it's actually going to be Larry Haas on the outside. John Momeyer, of course, in that ASU-themed machine on the inside here. Let's see if he can go really late on the brakes into what is turn number 4 up here at the top of the hill. You see the little bit of elevation. You still kind of climb an elevation. Then right here it starts to crest and actually go down the hill into turn number 5. I actually think a lot of people kind of misjudged turn number 5. Oh, John Momeyer a little bit fast going in, which means he kind of suffered the consequence on the back half of the corner. Really had to kind of catch the car, and all of a sudden that battle between him and Larry has evaporated. Well, back up front here, BJ Fulton, Michael Bolton giving chase in this black and yellow machine. And that's Jad Duncan and Mark Rondeau, followed up with Dustin Heindel. That's your top 5 in terms of the running order right now. We did not have that yellow flag on the opening lap of the race, and we can only have that yellow flag on the opening lap of the race. So nice and clean so far. Knocked down about 4 minutes and 3 laps is what they are on right now. And another talking point that we haven't mentioned yet, there's going to be a pit stop here in this race. So don't know when. Usually it's about halfway through. Given this is a 40-minute race, we usually see him pit between 20 minutes and maybe about 10 minutes remaining in the session. So hopefully they'll kind of stick to exactly what they've been doing all season long. Make it a little bit predictable for me up here in the commentary booth. Dustin Heindel still just trying to find a way around Mark Rondeau right now. Mark made that pass on the front straightaway. Did a nice job to get that position. And let's see what happened. This is a replay here of the 266. Larry Haas went for a ride. Don't want to see that. He was in that good battle with John Momeyer in that opening lap there. So now Larry Haas is making a pass on what is Jim Garamani back there for 5th place in the Cayman GT4. So he's going to have to kind of make up a bunch of lost ground Actually, see Dustin Heindel just had a problem out there on the racetrack. The 116, or I'm sorry, the 117, the Cookie Monster machine got into an issue off of the, call it back straightaway, going into what is turn number 10. Hopefully no damage to Mark Rondeau that I see, but definitely an issue as you see here. This white and blue car has lost a ton of track position. Here, in fact, is the GSRC replay. He did make contact with the back of Mark Rondeau. Just barely is able to get it backed up. Oh, no, that's what I was looking for. I think that's Will Castillo coming through. And unfortunately, Heindel was trying to get it back onto the racetrack, or at least back onto the racing line, and made some contact. I wonder if the damage is bad enough that they're going to need to come in pit road. And yep, sure enough, I actually see both of them right now. Will Castillo as well as Dustin Heindel hit pit road. They're probably going to take one of those two fast repairs. BJ Fulton still leading this thing out front. Last lap time flashed up purple that I saw, 1:43.0. So he is setting the early pace, and it is very, very fast. Our second place runner of Michael Bolton, his lap was a 1:43.99. So nearly 1 second slower, or 1 second off the pace from our leader. Jad Duncan, though, actually a 1:43.6. So he's actually that second car in line, or I should say that second yellow and black car in line, because there's two of them out there. He's actually starting to close it up a little bit here on Michael Bolton. We'll have to see if he's nice and tidy through this sector number 3 here at Barcelona. I always kind of find this one a little bit annoying, in my opinion. The Grand Prix layout, it just, especially with the production cars, it's really tight. You really have to avoid those curbs. It can kind of be a little annoying, if you ask me. I really like when the corners just allow the car to flow out there and really accelerate through the sweeper. So I like the more vintage layout, as it may be, even though the Grand Prix stuff is more modern, if you will. That last lap time, Bolton picked it back up, so a 43.8 out of that 127. Jad Duncan, who we're looking at here, 143.9. So not too much of a difference, kind of holding them nice and honest right now. Christian, always on top of things over here. Saw this battle with our Cayman GT4. This is actually for second place in class. That's Adam Abrams in that green Rexy-themed Cayman GT4. And then we've got Christopher Marciniak, who we're riding on board with right now. He's in this white and red number 35. So I think he's just kind of popping out to the middle of the racetrack, trying to show Adam that he's there. He's not quite close enough to make a move, in my opinion. So he's just going to try to focus on that brake marker, close it in through the apexes of 1 and 2, and actually does a nice job of letting the car kind of drift towards the middle of the racetrack. And then this turn number 3 is so long, it seems to go on forever. And you see him really getting the throttle down, actually closing up that gap to this green number 704 directly in front. Adam kind of leaves the door open in the beginning half of what is turn number 4. Crest the hill here. Let's hope that everybody hits their brake marker here into turn number 5. A little bit of a wider line. Oh, that's on the back foot for Adam Abrams. Couldn't get the power down on the very exit of the corner, and Christopher Marciniak just was able to really close it in. Wasn't able to get by and actually make the pass, but kind of had to jump over to the left side of the racetrack not to run over the back of what is Adam Abrams here in this bright green themed dyno machine. Like I said, very much like a Rexy machine, like AO Racing, like you see out there in the IMSA series. Go through what is turn number 10 here. Looks like they're all minding their P's and Q's out here. I do gotta say, though, I'm not sure about the teeth on the Cayman GT4. I think that the teeth fit the 911s a little bit better. It almost seems like it's got a little bit of an overbite going on with the Cayman and the teeth going on with this model. Always love the design and the liveries that we can do here in the virtual world. Always brings a smile to my face. Looks like we got another replay here. Unfortunately, Larry Haas, this is going to be a second incident. Remember, he had that opening lap incident, and that's some pretty heavy contact there. That happened in turn number 3. Cars all loaded up on the left side. Definitely stepped out from underneath him in a loose condition, and unfortunately had a tank slapper and couldn't collect it before impacting those tire bundles off on the driver's left-hand side. So Larry Haas going to have to go and use his second fast repair of the day, as we see a little bit of this multi-class traffic appear in the rearview mirror of our Cayman GT4 cars right now. I believe that is Will Castillo. Now, this is actually for overall position. Will had a little bit of some trouble there on that phase where he got caught up with Dustin Heindel, if you remember, so he had to come into pit road and take that fast repair. So definitely way back there in terms of track position. I love what I'm seeing here, though. He's not forcing the issue to get around these Cayman GT4s. He's just going to wait for this straightaway right here. Put his right foot down. Blast right on by at least Marciniak here. Probably wait a couple more corners and get Adam Abrams. Try not to affect the battle. Actually, Adam Abrams way out wide in what is turn number 10. He still leaves the door open. Marciniak almost gets into that left rear corner, but thankfully is able to avoid contact. Now a big over-under move catches Adam Abrams on the back foot, so move Marciniak up into second place for those Cayman GT4s. He's been working on that pass now for what was probably a handful of laps. Finally got it done. See if Adam Abrams can have a response at all. That's always the tough part to do when you're out there racing and you get a pass done. Can you run away from him, or are you so similar on pace? And you see Adam kind of showing the nose down there once again in turn number 1, poking out there saying, hey, I'm still here in this rear view mirror. Don't forget about me quite yet. Feed their way into this sweeping turn number 3, but I gotta say, seems like Marciniak a little bit more tucked in and narrow and is actually starting to pull away from Adam Abrams. Up over the crest here. And, you know, as I say that, I take a little sip of water. I said that Adam Abrams was starting to fall back, but through that last half of turn number 3, was actually able to close it in. This was the area of the racetrack where he kind of was out wide. Was able to be nice and tidy there and really hit the apex. If anything, Marciniak with a little bit of a loose race car right there allows Adam Abrams to kind of close it back in that little bit, but stands on the gas through turn number 9. I don't think it's going to be an issue going down here into the brake zone at all. His green number 704 is just a little bit too far back. We see cars outbrake themselves all race long, almost contact between the two. This is deja vu, but they flipped around, and now it is Abrams back into that second place position. So all that work that Christopher did, he finally got that pass done. It got served back to him in the exact same area of the racetrack. Oh my goodness. Let's see if Christopher can rebound off of this one. Maybe use a little bit of that slipstream down the front straightaway here and have another go at it. Just to report in for everybody, no change up at the front for our GTE cars. BJ Fulton is leading by about 3 seconds over Michael Bolton. Jad Duncan is sitting in third place. He's about 1.5 seconds behind. Oh my goodness. I caught that out of the corner of my eye. It almost seemed like Marciniak was a little bit too deep on the brakes and almost got into the back end of the car we're riding on board with right here. So thankfully, no heavy contact at all. So they just kind of keep trundling along on the racetrack. Maybe Christopher's going to reevaluate some of those brake zones, because it was turn number 10 that went a little bit wide a few laps ago. Turn number 1 went a little bit wide there, so maybe it's just kind of slowing everything down in order to go faster out there on the racetrack. And oh, look at that. It's almost fitting that I was going through the rundown of our top runners here, because here is our overall leader. He's this bright chrome and red number 82. Look at the run, though. Marciniak's trying to take advantage. The door is left open. He is completely wide. I'm talking about our camera car here of Abrams. Marciniak, though, just 2 car lengths and opening by the time we get to the brake zone, and you got more traffic in the rear view mirror. That's just going to cause more distractions. If anything, it was actually Michael Bolton that had a huge bobble. So Jad Duncan is now just right on the back of Michael here. This is for our second place overall. They're going to try to get by these Cayman GT4s. Oh, they're getting parked up. This is going to be a drag race down the front straightaway. Let's see which one of them can get on the gas and clear these slower Cayman GT4s. Let's watch down the front straightaway here. I think Jad Duncan's got a huge slipstream. He's got an opportunity for what is second place. Michael Bolton, full defensive, down on the inside of the racetrack. Now he moves to the middle of the racetrack. Jad's around the outside. Can he hang tough? He's now going to have the inside for turn number 2. But Bolton hangs on to second place position. I think that was a nice little bit of racecraft there from Jad Duncan in the 83 car, because he was able to read that lap traffic, really kind of close it in where Michael Bolton was being very, very nice to those Caymans, and then made a lunge down there in turn number 1. But Michael Bolton did an excellent job to kind of rebuff that attack and hang on to what his second place position is. This Cayman GT4 battle certainly hasn't gone anywhere, has it? Still Adam versus Christopher, second and third place. Adam's in the Rexy themed machine. Christopher in the white and red car. Here comes Rondo. That's another GTE machine that's going to blast past. You know, I think that Marciniak is being quite nice. That's 2 laps in a row that Adam has left the door completely open in turn number 9, and he's had to, because we've had these faster GTE class cars kind of scoot up the inside, but Christopher does not take advantage himself. He kind of follows Abrams on that outside line. I'm not sure if he's not sure if he's clear yet from those faster class cars, but definitely some time left on the table out there. Looks like a good battle back here that's just about to pass him again. This is Jeff Shulam, Robert Leclerc. Haven't mentioned these 2 guys yet here on this stream too much. This is the battle for what is 5th place in the GTE cars. See them trying to use whatever draft they can pick up off of those Cayman GT4s here on this long, long front straightaway. Riding on board with Robert here in the number 7 donut-themed machine, taking it down the inside. Had a little bit of a sniff of clean air there as Jeff Shulam left the door open, but now nice and tidy on that apex there. See if you can feed in the throttle going up the hill to what is turn number 4. Actually a decent brake zone right here. Oh, in pretty deep on the middle of the track is Robert Leclerc, but is able to hang on to it. You saw those micro adjustments from the wheel as he was trying to prevent any sort of lockup. Got to give a shout out to our director, Christian Duploy over here. He is keeping some seriously good battles on screen. We got picture-in-picture of our Cayman GT4 battle with his second place, and then we're riding on board with Robert Leclerc, who's chasing down Jeff Shulam in that multicolored number 10 car. Heated up over that fast turn number 9. Looks like Robert might be dropping back just a little bit here. It's pretty impressive. We're coming up on halfway through. I'm always a data guy, so I like looking at timing and scoring. I can kind of get lost in it. The fast laps out of these 2 drivers that we're watching here on our screen, Jeff Shulam got a 44.70. Robert Leclerc, fastest lap, 44.76. So there's only 6/100ths of a second separating the outright performance in terms of the fast lap between these 2 drivers, and I think that's exactly why we see them here on track, getting by, what is our Cayman GT4 class leader? There's Federico Del Toro. He's got a 10-second lead on Marciniak, who's now pulled out over a 2-second gap. Here comes Robert Leclerc trying to go the long way around. Shulam just stuck right there on the racing line through 1 and 2, and now a very wide swing out to driver's left from this pink and call it khaki. I know it's a donut. I'm pretty sure it's a Simpsons-themed donut out there. But yeah, just a little bit wide there between 2 and number 3 in terms of those apexes there, and I actually think he lost maybe 1 or 2 car lengths there. So sometimes it's the wide swinging arcing line, sometimes it's the shorter distance of those autocross style of shortest distance between point A and point B can be a little bit faster. Either way up the hill here. Up and over turn number 9. Come down into this braking zone here. Robert really taking advantage of how wide the track is. You know, I was kind of criticizing him just about 10 seconds ago, but they're going on the entry to turn number 10. I think that's A-okay. You're just kind of opening up the radius on your turn-in section. That part of the corner over here, and trying to maximize that rolling speed through the apex. Now through this very, very slow, what is 14 and 15 here at this Barcelona Catalunya circuit, and it looks like Jeff Schulem actually gets quite a nice exit. So no threat down the front straightaway this time, unless Leclerc has some crazy low downforce setup in comparison to a high downforce setup of Schulem, as get some shots of Federico Del Toro here. He started on pole position. He has led every single lap so far. He's got a nice 10.9 second lead over Christopher Marciniak, who sits in second place in class right now. He's not only got that lead, he's got the fastest lap of the race, 55.190. He's staying very consistent right now. Last lap was a 55.8, so call it about 0.6, maybe 3/4 of a second off of his fastest out there. And that's the key to road racing. You want to be as consistent as possible. Jumping back over to what is this battle for 5th place in the GTEs. Jeff Schulem had a little bit of a comfortable lead down the front straightaway, but Robert really closed it up in sector number 1, and now it's kind of about, call it 3, maybe 4 car lengths getting into this apex, the slow apex of the hairpin off of the back straightaway there, and then feed it into these, I would call them slow speed, slow to medium speed, long sweeping corners of turn number 12, and then a little bit of a shorter apex or shorter radius here, and then of course through the Grand Prix chicane, which is no longer utilized. Got those fast sweeping corners out there now for this Barcelona circuit, which really kind of picks up the pace out here. About 17 minutes and change, or I should say 16 minutes in change with the time left here on this race. And oh, Larry Haas getting by Jim Garamani out there on the racetrack. Remember, we've seen Larry really kind of have a few off-track excursions. I think he's used up both of the fast repairs, so props to the driver of this 266 to stay on it. You know, it's not always easy when you have those incidents to get back out there on the racetrack and do good laps and pick up those positions. See a little note from our director over here. Hopefully, I've got my fingers crossed, and I'll knock on some wood over here. Our leader, BJ Fulton, is having some intermittent internet issues and is blinking in and out of the session over here. So hopefully that stabilizes and doesn't lose a race win because of some silly internet stuff. Oh, Robert, a little bit wide there. I was bouncing it over the exit curb, or I should say apex curb of turn number 8. You could call it the exit curb of turn number 7. They kind of blend into each other. Thankfully, he was able to regain control. Those are pretty severe sausage curbs, bread box curbs, whatever you want to call them, and you can definitely bounce the car up and over those. So was able to keep the car straight and platform relatively even and level, so didn't have any loss of traction too much there. Continues to chase this 10 car of Jeff Schulem. Now, I had mentioned pit stops a little while ago, probably about 20 minutes ago. They should be coming into their pit stop window right about now. There's a few different strategies that are usually played as we watch Robert have some tremendous top-end speed here. Really deep on the brakes, pretty much underneath the rear wing of Shulam. I'll get back to this pit stop point here in just a minute, see if there's going to be any threat to pass between these two. Looks like Jeff is able to accelerate nicely, see if he's able to go out wide. Yes, he is. Get past. I believe that was Larry Haas there. And oh my goodness. Now, we didn't see it from the onboard shot, but Larry Haas barely got the car stopped before getting into the right rear of Robert Leclerc, the camera car that we are riding on board with. So I'm sure that Robert is very happy he's still pointed the right direction and still part of this battle with Shulam out here. So, going back to my pit stop talk. There's usually a couple different ways to approach these pit stops, and the easiest strategy is just kind of split the race down the middle, right? If you make it 50% of the race and you pit then, you can make it the other 50% of the race. Here's where the strategy part comes into play. In iRacing especially, the lighter you run the car, aka fuel, the faster it goes. So if you run the thing completely dry, you will go faster and faster and faster every single lap. So what these drivers will do is they'll run their tank completely dry. They'll run it past that 50%. They'll run it to that 75% mark. They'll run it all the way until they can't get around again, and then come in and put in barely enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. That way they've got the lightest car possible for the longest amount of time, which means they can go as fast as they want out there on the racetrack. Looks like we've got a replay here. Oh, this was what I was just mentioning. Look at how close this was between those two drivers. Oh, my goodness. Larry Haas in this Cayman GT4 did not want to interfere with that GTE battle. And like I said, thankfully, no contact between the two, but definitely a highlight-worthy moment. A little bit of a close call that they're both going to be happy to drive away from. BJ Fulton, still your leader by 3.5 seconds out front. Michael Bolton is sitting there in a comfortable second place now. Remember, we had seen Jad Duncan kind of creep up in the rearview mirror of our second place runner. Let's see if BJ Fulton actually comes down pit road this time, given that there's 12 minutes remaining. This is kind of getting into the fuel window. Nope, they're going to go one more time by, so they're evidently confident enough that they can at least make it one more time, if not a few more times. But it's a good top three here. Michael Bolton sitting about 3.7 seconds behind our leader. And then Jad Duncan right now is about 2.5, almost 2.6 seconds behind our second place runner. So they're all kind of keeping each other honest, right? If Jad kind of falls off as the caboose of the train, it lets up on the pressure of Bolton in second place, you know, and that's not happening. Jad, his last lap of 44.2. Michael's last lap in second place of 44.14. So only call it 55 thousandths separating their lap that last time by. And in fact, the slowest of the bunch was our leader, BJ Fulton, at a 44.217. So all three of these drivers right here just cranking out as fast as laps as they can possibly do. And they're literally on top of each other in that performance window. Looks like they're running up on a little bit of lap traffic here, talking about Shulam and Leclerc. They're both going to clear. I believe that was Momeyer there in that burnt number 6 car. The Sun Devil out there is hanging on to 4th place in that Cayman GT4 class, as Robert Leclerc is still just trying to find a way around Jeffrey Shulam. Now, they did start in this order. They're up one position from where they started because Dustin Heindel has dropped back to what is 7th place on the racetrack. But Shulam started in front of Leclerc, and Robert has just been unable to find a way around as we get our picture-in-picture shots. Looks like our leader has finally hit pit road. Jad Duncan stays out there on the racetrack. Michael Bolton is on pit road, and now Jeff Shulam peels off onto pit entry here. So Robert Leclerc will stay out on the racetrack one more lap. This is what's called the overcut, or the overcut attempt. What he's going to try to do is turn a faster lap than what we saw out of his competitor, Jeff Shulam, and essentially make the pass on pit road. In-laps and out-laps are just as important as fast laps on the racetrack, so hitting your brake marker and getting down to that pit road speed limiter, it's just as crucial as what Robert is doing right now of turning that ultimate fast lap on the lowest amount of fuel. As we watch Shulam exit pit road, I see that he was stationary in his pit box for what was 8.1 seconds. Going to feed his way out actually behind Dustin Heindel. Now, this will be interesting. I did not see this on the radar at all. Remember how Dustin Heindel had that incident down there at turn number 10, and Will Castillo kind of got collected up into it. They both came down and got that fast repair, right? I think that Heindel has enough fuel to make it from that pit stop to the end of the race. So he's actually kind of popped out in front of that Jeffrey Shulam battle that we were watching with himself and Robert Leclerc, who we've got on the screen right now. So that's an interesting little tidbit. We'll have to see how it all plays out here in the next 8 minutes. See if Leclerc comes into pit road, feed it through this Grand Prix chicane section. And yes, he is down onto pit entry. Trundle his way down onto that pit lane speed limiter. And remember, this is the car that he was racing. This is Jeff Shulam. He's coming through turn number 12. He's got to feed it through this chicane section, and we'll see where Robert pops up once he leaves pit lane. Shulam rounding the final corner, turn number 16, so he's on the gas. I can report that Leclerc was stopped for 6.9 seconds, so that's a full 1.2 seconds faster, but Shulam rockets by on the front straightaway. The overcut attempt not going to work for the Simpsons-themed number 7 car today. He's going to have to try to make the pass the hard way, and unfortunately, he's actually lost time in that overcut attempt. He's now 2.4 seconds behind the number 10 car, so he's going to have to make it up, and make it up in a hurry. Can report that, oh, you know what? Yeah, Christian, you're good, man. I was just about to talk about this guy. Federico Del Toro was able to serve his pit stop, 9.4 seconds stationary in his box, and return back out onto the racetrack in the lead. He is 12.9 seconds ahead of the Cayman GT4 second place runner, Christopher Marciniak, who's actually done a nice job to kind of pull away from Adam Abrams. Remember, we highlighted the battle between Christopher and Adam for what seemed to be going on 4, maybe 5 laps out there on the racetrack, and ever since that, Christopher was able to get a little bit of some clean windshield and nothing in the rearview mirror. He's pulled out what is about a 4.5 second gap over Adam Abrams, who is now coming out onto the front straightaway himself back there, who's got a nice, comfortable 16-second gap over John Momeyer. The closing stages of this race, got about 5 minutes and 50 seconds remaining here, seeing what other battles can possibly develop. Things seem to have stabilized pretty good out there on the racetrack. There's still the possibility of some cars running up on the Cayman GT4s, which are the slower of the two classes, and gotta have to be able to navigate around them safely, and that can always cause a little bit of some choke-ups, maybe a little bit of a traffic jam out there. I see that Heindel's 2 seconds behind Rondeau. The only problem is that Marc Rondeau's last lap was about a quarter of a second faster than Dustin Heindel, as we see that battle is actually going by Adam Abrams out there on the racetrack. So here comes Cookie Monster, Dustin Heindel. He's going to get choked up, unfortunately. Adam kind of hit the brakes there, and what was about 1.5 seconds is now ballooned up to 2.6 seconds behind Rondo. So what I was talking about with the traffic, sometimes it can kind of choke him up and bunch him up. Unfortunately, it kind of stretched that one out. Well, this is interesting. This was the battle that we were watching that kind of grew in the pit stops up to about 2.5 seconds, but Robert Leclerc is a man on a mission. This lap is just really fast. He has closed it in. He's now only 0.4 of a second behind Jeff Schulem. He is definitely going to be in the slipstream down the front straightaway here. They're also running up on Adam Abrams. There you see that green Cayman GT4. Let's see what's going to happen here into turn at number 1. Schulem's going to present the car to the middle of the racetrack. Robert Leclerc is going to follow him through, and now he's actually going to be right in the middle. This is where he needs to be. Oh, there he goes a little bit wide once again. He just doesn't need that extra little car width over in between turn number 2 and 3, and it just completely halts his momentum up the hill into what is turn number 4, and then he regains it on the brake zone. So I think that, big moment of oversteer there as he catches the car. Probably just kind of fed the throttle on a little bit too aggressive, given that he's caught up with Jeff in such a rapid amount of time. He is definitely driving at the limit. See what happens here. Schulem got choked up just a touch there. Robert's not quite close enough to take advantage. Now, this battle I saw, Heindel has officially caught Rondeau, so this is for 4th place overall. I had mentioned that Dustin had that little bit of an incident earlier in the race, and you know what? It was actually with this car that he's chasing right now, and there's the strategy card being played. I thought that maybe he was going to be able to make it to the end on fuel, but unfortunately he's got to trundle down pit lane, get some more into the tank, as Robert Leclerc's got his best passing opportunity. He's going to make an aggressive lane change maneuver. He's going to be on driver's right side for the brake zone into 1. Schulem outside, Leclerc inside. Deeper on the brakes goes Robert. Does an over-under attempt happen? Yes, here comes Jeff on driver's right side. He's going to have the shorter distance, the autocross line through turn number 3, and regains the 5th place position. What a good little battle that's been happening, that's been brewing all race long between these two, and Schulem is in too deep. He tried to pass our Cayman GT4 leader. He collects it up, and they're side by side going into what is turn number 5. Leclerc really deep on the brakes. Can he get the power down? He pinches Schulem down to the inside. Contact between the two of them. And now the racetrack is going to get really narrow here through what is 7 and 8. A little bit more contact between the two. Schulem hangs on to 5th place. What a battle between these two. Well, holy smokes. That was one heck of a battle out there, and I just checked on our leader. He cross start finish with about 1 minute and 12 seconds remaining, so I believe that we are on our final lap of the race over here. Should have gotten that white flag as they drove by. Let's see if Robert can kind of regain his composure a little bit, make another attack at Jeff here. Had a little bit of assistance from some lap traffic. That's what really got him so close that last lap on the front straightaway, but I think he did have a little bit more top-end speed. In fact, right now, he's already about 4 miles an hour faster using the slipstream. It's going to have to be a super send. I just don't see it happening here. Let's see if he adjusts his line in between turn 2 and 3. No, he still goes out just crazy wide to the driver's left side, loses about 1 car length every single time he does that. So I'm sure that he'll go back and watch it and readjust his racing line a little bit there. Schulem is pretty much just got to hang on to one more decent passing zone, and he'll be able to hold on for that 5th place as we check on BJ Fulton here. Coming up to what is sector number 3, the Grand Prix chicane layout. He has done everything right so far. He was on pole position. He has led every single lap in terms of the pit stop cycles. Rounds out of turn number 16. Your fastest lap of the race. Your race winner, BJ Fulton. Chad Duncan going to come home in 2nd place with Michael Bolton 1.6 seconds behind, rounding out the podium in the GTE cars. Looks like Rondo is going to be able to hang on to 4th place after Heindel kind of crept up the back end but then had to hit pit road. So Rondo, nice 4th place. Jeffrey Schulem looks like he is going to hang on to 5th because Robert Leclerc has now dropped back to 1.6 seconds behind this battle here. Nice job there to Jeffrey Schulem. That was one heck of a battle between himself and this driver right here, Robert Leclerc. That was very entertaining. Federico Del Toro, your Cayman GT4 class winner, also your pole sitter and fastest race lap to the 27 car. Christopher Marciniak is going to cross the line back here in 2nd place, 6.5 seconds back. And Adam Abrams, nice drag race to the line here for 3rd place. That's not for position, but always fun to be playing out there on the playground with everybody. John Momeyer back here in 4th, and Larry Haas going to be rounding out all the cars that are going to be finishing today's race. As Larry Haas crosses the line, it's the last car out there to complete our race. We'll bring up our official results. Like I said, the number 82 car of BJ Fulton is your race winner. Chad Duncan in 2nd. Bolton rounds out your podium. Rondo Schulem inside the top 5. Robert Leclerc with that heck of a battle back there. Heindel finishes 1 lap down. Castillo got into that a little bit of an earlier incident, and unfortunately, after qualifying so well, Thomas Isabel does not partake in today's race. Over to the Cayman GT4 class. It was Federico Del Toro in that number 27 car, your race winner. Christopher Marciniak finished, in fact, 6.5 seconds behind, not 2 laps behind. Adam Abrams rounds out your podium there in the Cayman GT4s. John Momeyer finishing in 4th. Larry Haas in 5th. Jim Garamani did finish 1 lap down and 6th place. That rounds out our 6-car Cayman GT4 field. Looks like we are waiting for some of the podium finisher winners to hop into our Discord voice chat over here, talk with some of them a little bit, get their thoughts on their race of their point of view. And in fact, I think I see BJ Fulton, our overall race winner. Congratulations, BJ.
Thank you. It was a pretty good race.
Yeah, you know, the front straightaway in the start always makes things a little bit nerve-wracking, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It was a little bit close there for a few corners, but I knew I had to stay ahead because it's so hard to pass here.
It is difficult to pass, and with the Grand Prix layout, I got to ask you, I prefer the traditional layout, which is actually now the Grand Prix layout, right? Do you like the chicane layout or the faster flowing layout?
I definitely like the faster flowing layout. Yeah, the chicane is no good. It's so much more fun. That second to last corner is super fast, and then flowing into the final corner. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love that configuration.
And then I got to ask you, do you have any trouble out there running up on any Cayman cars that we missed out on?
No, not really. It was pretty smooth. I was fairly conservative, just managing 3-4 second gap throughout, so I knew I could take it kind of easy through the traffic.
Well, congrats on the race win, BJ. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I just want to thank Porsche Club for putting this on, and all of their sponsors, Porsche North America, Sunset Mortgage. It's a lot of fun, and I really appreciate it.
That was BJ Fulton, your overall race winner, GTE class winner, pole sitter, fastest lap, overall fastest guy in there. He was a man on a mission today. Now, the exact same thing happened over in the Cayman GT4 class. Looks like I've got him here in the booth with me. Federico Del Toro, you were unstoppable today. Congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thank you. After the last race where I got taken out by the internet, yeah, I really wanted to win this one.
I asked what BJ's opinion was on the track layout, so I might as well ask you as well. Do you like this chicane sector 3, or do you like the faster flowing, more updated? It's actually more traditional layout.
I like the faster flowing. I hate those chicanes. They're just too tight.
And the production cars are big getting through there, aren't they?
Yeah, they're tough. I mean, and you can't really use the curving at all in the inside because it'll just throw you everywhere. So yeah, they're pretty cumbersome.
Well, I think that you did a terrific job out here today. I mean, you kind of set the tone in qualifying, backed it up in the race with the fastest race lap. When you're out there running by yourself, I noticed you had a 10-second lead, a 12-second lead. What's going through your mind? Are you trying to focus on improving yourself, or are you focusing on getting to the end of the race?
Actually, the car got really, really bad at the end. The front end wouldn't turn, and I was just struggling at the end, to tell you the truth.
Well, I think you did a terrific job of hanging on to it then. Great job out there. Last question, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
No, just my wife, Rhonda, and all of you guys. You're doing a great job, and I enjoy the interviews and the racing.
Well, thank you so much. That is our Cayman GT4 class winner, Federico Del Toro. Well, thank you so much to everybody. Of course, we want to give a shout out once again to Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And of course, Top Gun MG, helping financial advisors be the best of the best. Contact them today at TopGunMG.com. That is TopGunMG.com. Well, thanks to the team today. That included me, myself, and Christian over here. Joe Peak, sad we couldn't have you in the booth with us this afternoon. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. And be sure to check out all of the other broadcasts listed here on the channel as well. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.